And we're live. Welcome, friends. Happy Sunday. And welcome to Sinister Sundays, where we explore the strange, the unknown, and the unnatural. Dominic says hi. Hello to you, sir. Greetings. David is here early. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you, David, for being here early. David says, howdy, folks. And Chrissy is also here and says, hello, everyone. And Chrissy has a heart for David. And David, coincidentally, has a heart for Chrissy. What's that about? Tonight, we are going to be discussing the serial canceller, Gary Ridgway, also known as the Green River Killer. Sorry, algorithm. However, for the slideshow, I did not want to show pictures of him or his victims, or, it's like there's all the pictures I found doing a quick image search were like too gruesome. Chrissy says hi, superantonio, and Sadie says hi to Chrissy. Say hi to Chrissy and David and Dominic, and we don't know how long she's gonna last for this live stream, but she's here now, and we'll bring her back as needs be. So anyways, I couldn't, I didn't want to make a slideshow out of the Green River Canceller. So instead, I made a slideshow out of my favorite screenshots from my favorite Hitchcock movies. So we're going to watch Hitchcock movies as we talk about this gentleman. David says, up the freeway from where I lived. Oh, wow. And what was I going to say? Yeah, it's interesting how, cancellation and cancelers are interesting to me in a fictional sense. In a movie, it's like as long as it's fictional, I am fascinated and I love it and I can appreciate it as art. But once it gets to be true crime, etc., I don't know, it gets a little dark for me. So this Sinister Sundays is going to be a little dark, but as you know, it's for Mama One. It's Mama One's birthday. I'm sure she'll be here later. Her and Papa One. Arthur says greetings. I think greetings, Arthur. Welcome. At any rate, I hope everyone's having a good weekend, and we have a lot. Also the thumbnail for tonight's live stream is all of the victims, because he canceled a lot of women. It's crazy. What's that about? At any rate, let's get started. Psycho, every frame is a work of art. Alfred Hitchcock was my first favorite director, and in many ways, my favorite director. 9 viewers in the chat. Welcome, friends. Let's talk about Gary Ridgway. Gary Leon Ridgway. You always get a middle name with these serial cancelers, and also the political cancelers. Born February 18th, 1949, is an American serial canceller known as the Green River Killer. He was initially convicted of 48 separate cancellations committed between the early 1980s and the late 1990s. As part of his plea bargain, another conviction was added, bringing the total number of convictions to 49 and making him the second most prolific serial canceller in United States history, according to confirmed cancellations. And the first, oddly enough, is someone I've never heard of, Samuel Little, who canceled 93 people, and he was in the South. No, he was in California. He was born in Georgia, but he committed his crimes in California, Texas, and Ohio. Same pattern as this guy. It was mostly prostitutes and teen runaways. Dylan McKelvey says, howdy, folks. Greetings, Dylan. Welcome, friend. Happy Sunday. Most of Ridgway's victims were alleged to be sex workers. It's interesting that I can say sex workers as much as I want on the algorithm. The algorithm is fine with that. What's that about? And other women in vulnerable circumstances, including underage runaways. Before his identity was known, the media gave him his nickname after the first 5 victims were found in the Green River. He pressed triangle or Y, if you know, on Xbox, on his victims, usually by hand, but sometimes using ligatures. I think that's clever. Press triangle. After pressing triangle, he would dump their bodies in forested and overgrown areas in King County, often recurring to the bodies to engage in acts of necrophilia. What's that about? Ridgway had been a suspect in the murders since 1982. Cancellations since 1982. However, investigators were unable to link him to the cancellations at the time. Later advances in DNA profiling allowed investigators to definitively link Ridgway to the cancellations, and he was arrested on November 30th, 2001, as he was leaving the Kenworth truck factory where he worked in Renton, Washington. As part of a plea bargain wherein he agreed to disclose the locations of still missing women, he was spared the death penalty and received a life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. And he's still alive. He's 75 now. So he's just rotting in an 8x6 cell. Early life. Gary Leon Ridgway was born on February 18, 1949 in Salt Lake City, Utah, the second of Mary and Thomas Ridgway's 3 sons. His home life was somewhat troubled. Relatives have described his mother as domineering and have said that, while young, he witnessed more than one violent argument between his parents. His father was a bus driver who would often complain about the presence of sex workers. Ridgway had a bedwetting problem until he was 13, and his mother would forcefully wash him after every episode. He would later tell defense psychologists that as an adolescent, he had conflicting feelings of anger and sexual attraction towards his mother and fantasized about canceling her. Ridgway is dyslexic and was held back a year in high school. When he was 16, he pointy sticky stick a 6-year-old boy who survived the attack. Ridgway had led the boy into the woods and then pointed him through the ribs and into his liver. Ridgway's IQ was recorded as being in the low 80s. That's interesting. Most of these guys were smarter than average. I believe Ted Bundy is a genius. I'm going to look that up right now. Ted Bundy IQ. $124. Yeah, that's genius. Interesting. Ridgway graduated from Tyee High School in 1969 and married his 19-year-old high school girlfriend, Claudia Craig. He joined the U.S. Navy and was sent to Vietnam, where he served on board a supply ship and saw combat. During his time in the military, Ridgway had frequent deluxe bath interactions with sex workers and contracted gonorrhea. Although angered by this, he continued this activity without protection. The marriage ended within a year. When questioned about Ridgway after his arrest, family and friends described him as friendly but strange. His first 2 marriages resulted in divorce because of infidelities by both partners. His second wife, Marcia Winslow, claimed that he had placed her in a chokehold. He became religious during his second marriage, proselytizing door to door, reading the Bible aloud at work and at home, and insisting that his wife follow the strict teachings of their pastor. Ridgway would also frequently cry after sermons or reading the Bible. Despite his beliefs, Ridgway continued to solicit the services of sex workers and wanted his wife to participate in sex in public and inappropriate places, sometimes even in areas where his victims' bodies were later discovered. So he's turned on by that, but also he was fighting it. He was fighting the demon by by getting super religious. Didn't really work. According to the women in his life, Ridgway had an insatiable sexual appetite. His 3 ex-wives and several ex-girlfriends reported that he demanded sex from them several times a day. Often he would want to have sex in a public area or in the woods. Ridgway himself admitted to having a fixation with sex workers with whom he had a love-hate relationship. He frequently complained about the presence in his neighborhood, but he also took advantage of their services regularly. In a statement read at his plea hearing, Gary Ridgway said that he hated prostitutes and didn't want to pay them for sex. Some have speculated that Ridgway was torn between his lusts and his staunch religious beliefs. Yeah, that's what I would say. With his second wife, Marcia, Ridgway had a son. Wow. So he's got a kid. I wonder what he's doing. We're going to sidetrack right now. I'm kind of like drawing this out as we wait for Mama 1. So we're going to go on the side. The son is Matthew Ridgway. Let's see what he's doing now. What happened to Gary Ridgway's son? Matthew later went on to serve in the Marines and was stationed in San Diego during the time of his father's arrest. And he's not really in the public eye, which is good. Matthew is in his late 40s and tends to stay out of the public eye. He is married and still residing in California. Okay, so, he's living his life. We should leave him alone. Doc Skullhammer is here. Everyone say hi to Doc. Greetings, Doc. Welcome, friend. Appreciate you being here. Did you happen to see last night's live stream on the replay? It was all about The Shining and your friend, Stephen King. Doc's back. How are you, old friend? It's great to see you in the chat with your old logo. I miss you. Moving on to the cancellations. Throughout the 1980s and 1990s, Ridgway is believed to have canceled at least 71 teenage girls and women near Seattle and Tacoma, Washington. In court statements, Ridgway later reported that he had canceled so many that he lost count. A majority of the murders occurred between 1982 and 1984. The victims were believed to be either sex workers or runaways whom he picked up along Pacific Highway South. Oh, okay, that's the David connection. PH1. Ridgway sometimes showed the women a picture of his son to trick them into trusting him. They would engage in sexual activity, and after minutes of intercourse from behind, Ridgway would he would press triangle on their necks and he would put him, and he would press triangle or Y if you have a Xbox. He canceled most victims at his home, his truck, or in a secluded area. Most of the bodies were dumped in wooded areas around Green River, SeaTac International Airport, and other dump sites within South King County. There were also 2 confirmed... Doc, incidentally, poor Serena is in the hospital right now. And it's not good. I believe it's COVID related. So she definitely needs your thoughts and prayers. Sometimes she shows up in the chat, and I'm sure she would love to hear from you. And in case you want to send her any good wishes, you can email me at reddeadsuperantonio@gmail.com, and I'll pass the email along to Serena, and then she can get back to you if you because I know you know her. And it's I insist on things working out for the best, and I'm positive. I have positive thoughts, but it seems dire. Miko's here. Miko says, hello, Super Antonio and Sadie. Howdy, mods. Howdy, folks. Greetings, Miko. I'm glad you're here, friend. There were also two confirmed and another two suspected victims found in the Portland, Oregon area. The bodies were often left in clusters, sometimes posed, usually nude. He would, yeah, and doing a Google search, I found some of those pictures. And I don't like looking at that. I love horror movies. I love it if it's fake. I love, the artistry of makeup in The Walking Dead, but I don't want to see that. Mama One and Papa One are here. Greetings, Mama One. Happy birthday to you, and same to Papa One. Happy lovely wife birthday, Papa One. You're just in time. We're about to get to the first known victims of your favorite serial canceller, Gary Ridgway. What's that about? Okay, there were also two confirmed and another two suspected victims found in the Portland, Oregon area. The bodies were often left in clusters, sometimes posed, usually nude. He would sometimes return to the victims' bodies and engage in necrophilia. What's that about? Ed Gein also did that. It seems like a lot of them do that. I think I would assume it's about control, and also reliving the initial thrill. Ridgway later explained that he did not find necrophilia more sexually satisfying, but having sex with the deceased reduced his need to obtain a living victim and thus limited his exposure to being caught. Ridgway occasionally contaminated the dump sites with gum, cigarettes, and written materials belonging to others, and he even transported a few victims' remains across state lines into Oregon to confuse the police. 1982 to 1984, first known victims. And Doc, I don't know if you know Mama One and Papa One, but I would be happy to introduce you to. You two would like each other. You three would like each other. 1982 to 1984, first known victims. The body of Ridgway's first known victim was found in July of 1982. A unique kind of spray paint was found on clothing wrapped around the victim's neck, but the paint was not tested for 20 years. If it had been tested at the time, it would have been easier to link the cancellation to Ridgway. After four more victims were found, the King County Sheriff's Office formed the Green River Task Force to investigate the murders. Task Force members included Robert Keppel and Dave Reichart, who periodically interviewed incarcerated serial canceller Ted Bundy in 1984. Bundy offered his opinions. Serena's here. Everybody say hi to Serena. Serena, Doc is here. Serena says, hi, everyone. Miss you all and love you all. And we miss and love you all, Serena. Sadie's here also. She's under the desk. Come back up here and say hi to Serena. And also Doc. Hup, hup. Good girl. Okay. Say hello to Serena and happy birthday to Mama One. And hello to Doc. Doc Sculler. Tell Doc to keep coming back to more live streams because we miss him. And we miss Serena as well. Bundy offered his opinions on the psychology, motivations, and behavior of the killer. Algorithm. He suggested that the canceller was revisiting the dump sites to have sex with his victims, which turned out to be true. And if police found a fresh grave, they should stake it out and wait for him to come back. That's an excellent idea, Ted Bundy. That's crazy. Also, contributing the investigation was FBI Special Agent Johnny Douglas, who developed a profile of the suspect. Doc, yes, she is a very good puppy. I don't know what I'd do without her. Ridgway was arrested in 1982 and in 2001 on charges related to prostitution. He became a suspect in the Green River cancellations in 1983. when 18-year-old Marie Malvar disappeared. Her boyfriend and pimp later found a truck in front of Ridgway's house, which they thought was the same one she had boarded the day she went missing. Ridgway was interviewed in conjunction with that event, and police received several other tips that mentioned him. In 1984, he passed a polygraph test. You're going to, okay, it's on the 20th. Okay, yeah, I'm going to give you lots of positive thoughts on the 20th, Serena. But I'm glad it's scheduled so we can get it over with and we can move on. And yeah, you're where you need to be, and yeah, it's more emotionally hard on me than I would anticipate. But you matter to me. You know, you're one of the oldest friends of the channel. You're one of my first friends on the channel. You and Doc. And you're an essential part. You get of the channel's history, the channel's growth, and me and Sadie wish you the best as always. Okay, but also, why would you use your own car to solicit bath ladies, especially if you're married? Like, if I was going to do this, I would have a burner car, something that I bought for cash that I'm storing at some sort of like storage unit, like a storage unit garage, and then I can like just use that as the excuse. Honey, I'm going to go work on the car. And then I drive that car around. Why bring the car that you're committing your crimes in back to, to the front of your house? That's crazy. But, his IQ, again, was 80. It's amazing that he got away for it for so long. But he wouldn't now because of DNA. Serena says, thank you, everyone. Really appreciate all your support and love you all. And Doc says, Serena is a heart. Very well said, Doc, and you're right. And Serena says, hi, Sadie, beautiful girl. Always put a smile on my face. And miss you all. Well, that's what she's here for, Serena. Papa One says, Serena is the Miss Grimshaw of this gang. Ha. She makes sure everyone is involved and working. Well, she's the Miss Grimshaw. She's more like, don't tell Abigail. She's more like Abigail, I think. I believe, regrettably, hate to tell you, Papa One, but Mama One is the Miss Grimshaw of this gang. Which makes you Mr. Pearson. Or Herr Strauss. No, you're not either of those fellas. You're probably Hosea, Papa One. 1985 to 2001. Wow, he was married for a long time. It seems like he was married basically until his arrest. Let's see. Sorry, I scrolled. Marriage with Judith Mawson, arrested for murder. Arrested for cancellation. Sorry, algorithm. Around 1985, Ridgway began dating Judith Mawson, who became his third wife in 1988. Mawson claimed in a 2010 television interview that when she moved into his house while they were dating, there was no carpet. Detectives later told her that he had probably wrapped a body in the carpet. In the same interview, he described how he would leave for work early in the morning some days, ostensibly for the overtime pay. Serena says, Marco messaged me on email. I thank you all for your love and support. It means a lot. Oh, I'm glad he has your email, Serena. And you talk to Marco as much as he can. He has a big heart. He wouldn't say it, but he should be a therapist or a counselor. I mean, he's got a lot. He's got a good head on his shoulders, and he is there for you. And I'm glad he reached out to you, and I'm going to thank him the next time I come across one of his comments. And I know he watches on the replay, so Marco, I really appreciate you. And thank you so much. Shout out to Marco. Okay, where are we? Judith Mawson. Honey, I'm gonna go work on overtime, and then he was like using that time for cancellations. Press triangle. For his press triangle and bath lady incidents. Mawson speculated that he must have committed some of the cancellations while supposedly working these early morning shifts. She claimed that she had not suspected Ridgway's crimes before she was contacted by authorities in 1987. I believe that is a lie. I think she knew something. You always know something in the back of your head. You cannot cheat. Men cannot cheat without the wife or the girlfriend knowing. Whether they confront you is something else entirely. They always know whether they are listening to their instincts or or paying attention. There's always a feeling of unease in the back of your head. Yeah, so I'm sure on some level she knew. She absolutely knew. But of course, if I was being interviewed, I'd say no. Of course, I didn't know. And had not even heard of the Green River Canceller before that time because she did not watch the news. See, she did not watch the news because she didn't want to know. I'm sure she did once, and it's like she connected the coincidences. Ridgway said that while he was in the relationship with Mawson, his cancel rate went down and that he truly loved her. Of his 49 known victims, only 3 were canceled after he married Mawson. Mawson had told a local reporter, "I feel I have saved lives being his wife and making him happy." Serena, yes, you are Sadie. And you have to get back to being Sadie. Doc says it's difficult to admit some of what you've seen. Yeah, it's like you just shove it in the back of your mind, the back of your heart. It's difficult to admit you made a mistake and you married. It's like in finance, you call it sunk cost. You've invested 1, 2, 3, 4 years of your life in this relationship. Your heart, you loved this person ostensibly. You made a promise before God and all your friends. It's hard when you start getting clues that things are things are not what they seem with this person that you've entrusted with one half of your life. Mama one says, I'm reading the book his ex-wife wrote. It's a great book so far. He only canceled 3 people when they married. He even said compared to the 43 before. And Doc says exactly. Doc agrees. Doc, I miss your photographs that are and your little poems and that you used to write for the horse shows. I miss those, Doc. I have them somewhere. Your little artistic expressions when we used to do fashion shows back in the day. On April 7th, 1987, police took hair and saliva samples from Ridgway. The samples collected in 1987 were later subjected to DNA profiling, providing the evidence for his arrest warrant. On November 30th, 2001, he was at the Kenworth truck factory where he worked as a spray painter when police arrived to arrest him. Ridgway was arrested on suspicion of canceling 4 women nearly 20 years earlier after first being identified as a potential suspect when DNA evidence conclusively linked, I guess I can say that word, semen left in the victims to the saliva swab taken by the police. I was going to say, why would you, well, you're not thinking, and he has an IQ of 80, but, it's like you got to be, DNA evidence didn't exist when he was committing these crimes. So he was like, all you could get from semen was blood type back then. The 4 victims named in the original indictment were Marcia Chapman, Opal Mills, Opal's a pretty name, Cynthia Hines, and Carol Ann Christensen. 3 more victims, Wendy Cofield, Deborah Bonner, and Deborah Estes. Deborah was a popular name in the 80s. Deborah Winger. Were added to the indictment after a forensic scientist identified microscopic spray paint spheres as a specific brand and composition of paint used at the Kenworth factory That's clever, during the specific time frame when these victims were killed. Plea bargain, confessions, and sentencing. Early in August 2003, Seattle Television News reported that Ridgway had been moved to a maximum security cell at King County Jail to an Airway Heights minimum medium security level tank. Other news reports stated that his lawyers, led by Anthony Savage, were closing a plea bargain that would spare him the death penalty in return for his confession to a number of the Green River cancellations. On November 5, 2003, Ridgway entered a guilty plea to 48 charges of aggravated first-degree cancellation as part of a plea bargain agreed to in June that would spare him the execution in exchange for his cooperation in locating the remains of his victims and providing other details. In his statement accompanying his guilty plea, Ridgway explained that he had canceled all of his victims inside King County, Washington, and that he had transported and dumped the remains of the two women near Portland to confuse the police. Deputy Prosecutor Jeffrey Baird noted in court that the deal contained the names of 41 victims who would not be subject to State versus Ridgway if it were not for the plea agreement. King County prosecuting attorney Norm Mailing explained his decision to make the deal. "We could have gone forward with the 7 counts, but that is all we could have ever hoped to solve. At the end of the trial, whatever the outcome, there would have been lingering doubts about the rest of the crimes." Also, it's good for the families. They get some closure. This agreement was the avenue to the truth, and in the end, the search for the truth is still why we have a criminal justice system. Gary Ridgway does not deserve our mercy. He does not deserve to live. The mercy provided by today's resolution is directed not at Ridgway, but toward the families who have suffered so much. That is an excellent statement and sounds political, like he had ambitions. I'm looking him up now. Norm Mailing. He just served as a King County prosecutor for 28 years. He could have parlayed that into some kind of political career. On December 18th, 2003, King County Superior Court Judge Richard A. Jones sentenced Ridgway to 48 life sentences without the possibility of parole to be served consecutively. He was also sentenced to an additional 10 years for tampering with evidence for each of the 48 victims, adding another 480 years to his 48 life sentences. Later, he was given another life sentence after the remains of a 49th victim were found. Ridgway led prosecutors to 3 bodies in 2003. In August of that year, the remains of a 16-year-old girl was found near Enumclaw, Washington. Enumclaw is an interesting name. That sounds Indian or Native American. 40 freed from the State Route 410 were pronounced as belonging to Pammy Annette Avent, who had been believed to be a victim of the Green River Canceller. The remains of Marie Malvar and April Buttram were found in September of 2003. In November of 2005, the Associated Press reported that a weekend hiker found the skull of one of the 48 women Ridgway admitted murder canceling in his 2003 plea bargain with the King County prosecutors. The skull of another victim, Tracy Winston, who was 19 when she disappeared from Northgate Mall on September 12, 1983, was found on November 20th, 2005, by a man hiking in a wooded area near Highway 18, near Issaquah, southeast of Seattle. A lot of hikers. This was the find that led to Ridgway's 49th life sentence. In 2023, remains formerly known as Bones 17, discovered in 1985, were identified as belonging to another canceled victim, Lori Ann Razpotnik, who had disappeared from Seattle in 1982. Ridgway confessed to more confirmed cancellations than any other American serial canceller. Over a period of 5 months of police and prosecutor interviews, he confessed to 48 cancellations, 42 of which were on the police lists police's list of probable Green River killer victims. In February of 2004, county prosecutors began to release videotape records of Ridgway's confessions. In one taped interview, he initially told investigators that he was responsible for the deaths of 65 women. In another taped interview, Ridgway claimed to have canceled 71 victims. Odog's here. Greetings, Odog. Odog Doc is here, and Serena also. Happy Sunday to you, Odog. And confessed to having had sex with them before canceling them, a detail which he had not revealed until after his sentencing. In his confession, he acknowledged that he targeted prostitutes because they were easy to pick up and that he hated most of them. He confessed that he had sex with his victims' bodies after he canceled them, but he claimed he began burying the later victims so he could resist the urge to commit necrophilia. Jeez. 15 viewers in the chat. Welcome, friends. I apologize for the grisly nature of tonight's Sinister Sundays, and it's all Mama One's fault because it's her birthday, and that's what she wanted to talk about. And Mama One, as you know, is the Miss Grimshaw of the chat, which makes Serena Mrs. Adler. Incarceration. Ridgway was placed in solitary confinement, good, at Washington State Penitentiary in Walla Walla in January 2004. I like saying that, Walla Walla. In May, he was transferred to USP Florence High. Isn't that a supermax? It's in Colorado. Yeah, I think it's a supermax, a high-security federal prison east of in Colorado. In September 2015, after public outcry and discussions with Governor Jay Inslee, Corrections Secretary Bernie Warner announced that Ridgway would be transferred back to Washington to be easily accessible for open murder investigations. Ridgway was returned by chartered plane to Washington State Penitentiary in Walla Walla in October of 2015. Papa One says, it's always rainy in Washington. Oh, okay. Papa One says, I've been to Seattle with Mama One and Dad. We went there through to get a horse from which we were doing business with. The city is horse-friendly, surprisingly enough. A lot of Seattle cops rode horses on duty, but it's always rainy in Washington, and SeaTac through the Seattle area, and the Seattle area is crime-ridden. I will never forget driving through on a truck carrying horses and seeing all of the lot lizards trying to sell themselves. Victims. Before Ridgway's confession, authorities had attributed 49 cancellations to the Green River Killer. Ridgway confessed to canceling at least 71 victims. Ridgway's victims were not of any specific race or ethnicity. Rather, they were all financially poor, vulnerable, so he could wave a 20 in front of them. And except for 3 of them, were all younger women and girls between the ages of 14 and 26, whom he found in vulnerable circumstances, often working as prostitutes or having run away from home. And we have a list of the victims, which I'm going to read along with their age, just to honor them. And we also put the victims in the thumbnail. Wendy Lee Cofield, I assume this is in order of when they were canceled, age 16. Giselle, that's a pretty name. Ann Lovorn, 17. Deborah Lynn Bonner, 23. Marcia Faye Chapman, 31. Cynthia Jean Hines, 17. Opal Charmaine Mills, 16. Terry Renee Milligan, 16. Mary Bridget Meehan, 18. Deborah Lorraine Estes, 15. Linda Jane Rule, 16. Daniel Darcel Bush, 23. Shonda Leah Summers, 18. Shirley Marie Sherrill, 18. Rebecca Becky Marrero, 20. Colleen Renee Brockman, 15. Sandra Denise Major, 20. Wendy Stevens, 14. So sad. Alma Ann Smith, 18. Dolores Laverne Williams, 17. Lori Ann Raspotnik, 15. Gail Lynn Matthews, 23. Andrea Marion Childers, 19. Sandra K. Gabbert, 17. Kimi Kai Rix Pitzor, 16. Mary Jane Malvar, 18. Carol Ann Christensen, 21. Martina Teresa Otherly, 18. Cheryl Lee Wims, 18. Yvonne Shelley Antosh, 19. Carrie Ann Royce, 15. Constance Elizabeth Neon, 19. Tammy Charlene Lilies, 16. Kelly Marie Ware, 22. Tina Marie Thompson, 21. April Dawn Buttram, 16. Debbie May Abernathy, 26. Tracy Ann Winston, 19. Maureen Sue Feeney, 19. Mary Sue Bello, 25. Pammy Annette Avent, 15. Delise, I think, is that a typo? Should it be Denise? Louise Plager, 22. Kimberly L. Nelson, 21. Lisa Lorraine Yates, 19. Mary Exetta West, 16. Cindy Ann Smith, 17. Patricia Michelle Barzak, 19. Roberta Joseph Hayes, 21. Marta Reeves, 36. And Patricia Ann Yellow Robe, that sounds Native American, 38. And that, my friends, is what I have to say about Gary Ridgway. Happy birthday to Mama One. And Serena, I was thinking, when's your birthday? We should do a live stream on your birthday. A birthday live stream for you where we will discuss your favorite movie, not your favorite serial canceller. But it's okay if your favorite movie is about a serial cancellation. Same with you, Doc, and Papa One, and David. Well, technically, David, we already did you with High Plains Drifter, but we can do it again. And Chrissy, we could do like birthday live streams, or like maybe not on your exact birthday, like on the weekend, so that you could spend your birthday with your family and friends, and we can talk about movies or something. David, what's for dinner? O-Dog, what's for dinner? Mama One, what's for dinner? Papa One, what's for dinner? Doc says, I'm puzzled at the apparent impulse to cancel another human, particularly those weaker. Yeah, it's a dark element that exists in all of us, in all of our hearts. Cain versus Abel, I think it's always been there, and some people just give in to that impulse, or wolf, or intrusive thoughts. I don't believe ever in my life I have been angry enough to have feelings of to have those kind of feelings. O-Dog, send pics, Super Antonio, so we can all see. Pics of what, O-Dog? David had picadillo and salad. And what did I have? Oh, I had another salad. I had another super salad. I have to get rid of all, I've got a bunch of salad ingredients in my fridge right now. Papa One says, I made my beautiful wife crawdads. We had pounds and pounds of crawdads with family and friends. My son brought his girlfriend to meet us for the first time. She's a doll. Well done, Papa One and Son One. Number one son. Very happy for you. O-Dog had baked chicken and yellow rice with cream of chicken and mushroom. That sounds delicious, O-Dog. O-Dog, I had a super salad because I was craving them. earlier in the week, and I had to buy all the ingredients. Super salad was what I called the salad that an ex-girlfriend used to make for me when I was living with her, the yoga instructor, and she would yoga instructor and vegan, and she would make a salad with kale and arugula and spinach and romaine and beets and pumpkin seeds and sunflower seeds. What else? Mandarin oranges, tomatoes, carrots, and then she would dress it in like a tahini or hummus dressing, but I can't use either of those because they have garlic in them. So I made basically the same thing, but I used honey mustard, my favorite salad dressing, and I put chicken on top. Serena says, my birthday is the 20th of September. I'm making a note of that now. When is that? I mean, what day is that? Will you be out of the hospital by then, Serena? That's a Friday. We could do a Free Roam Fridays, Serena. A Free Roam Fridays birthday celebration for Serena Starhearts. Okay, let's do that. And Papa One says, sorry we missed yesterday. No worries, Papa One. I know you're busy. It's a birthday weekend. Papa One says, we had a horse emergency. Oh, that's sad to hear. A horse I'm training for this guy, he didn't say that her horseshoes are messed up, and she ended up cutting into her hooves. Ow. And she had to have half of her hooves removed. Oh, so sad. Odog says, hopefully you'll be home for your birthday making videos. Yes, I insist, Serena. Doc says, sounds great. Papa One says, whoever made the shoes to begin with didn't know anything about how to make shoes. Let's call the dog back. Come here. Odog says, Papa One, what's the purpose of shoes on a horse? Hop, hop. Well, they make a really nice clop, clop sound. Very comforting to hear that sound. Mama One says, I will email Super Antonio some pictures of Nellie and Racer. I will take photos of Arthur tomorrow. And Doc says, shoes keep a horse grounded, oh dog. Doc, when's your birthday? We can do a birthday live stream. And that's one way I can get you to be in the chat. We'll do it closer to your time. I know it's really late for you. But I thank you for being here. I appreciate you. And if you have time, watch the Shining live stream from last night. It was a lot of fun. I had fun doing it. But I can talk about movies for days. August 18th. A lot of August birthdays. That's a Wednesday. Okay, I'm going to lump you in with Serena on the 20th. That's a Friday for Free Roam Fridays. Odog says, Saturday, yeah. Say hi to Odog. Happy Sunday. This Wednesday, for Western Wednesdays, we're going to be discussing Blazing Saddles. Another one of my favorite Westerns. Papa One says, specifically endurance horses may have to climb steep hills. The shoes help keep them weighted and prevents a broken leg. Miko says, reminds me of when Arthur gets any horses, they don't have shoes. Other gang members and NPC horses have shoes. What's that about? No one knows. It is a Red Dead mystery. I'm always happy when people quote my catchphrases, Miko. Serena says, okay, Antonio sounds good. Serena, you sound good. And Odog says, thank you, Papa One. I did not know that. Yeah, never say you never learned anything on my live streams. People in the chat. Papa One says, Miko, actually horses brought from the stables have horseshoes, but stolen horses or wild horses do not. Oh, that's great news, Doc. Doc says, the 20th is also the day I wave goodbye to my cancer treatments. I think I'm cured. I'm so happy to hear that. Shout out to Doc Skullhammer. And Odoc says, fantastic, Doc. My mom was a survivor. My mom had complications, and it's hard to talk about, but she was like pre-leukemic, and she had a lot of complications before that, and she decided once it like she got the diagnosis that she didn't want any treatment, and she was gone so fast after that. She was like, it was like the doctor gave her 4 weeks to 6 months, and she was gone in like 2 weeks. Hold on a second. I'm tearing up again. Yeah, that she was gone so fast. But she didn't want to do the treatments. She didn't want, and you have to respect that, I guess. But yeah, Chrissy says, awesome news, Doc. And Pop One says, congratulations, Doc. Many prayers for you, my brother. My little brother survived cancer of the intestines. They said he would die in 3 months. He lived for 35 years after beating it. Doc, don't worry, Doc. I'm sorry. I get choked. I felt myself getting emotional reading about all those victims. So I'm just in a weird headspace right now. Oh, Doc, are you talking about Miko? I'm not sure, Odog. We kind of run through mods on this channel. What's that about? So, what are my plans? I need to get back on. Grand Theft Auto videos are not doing great, but I want to finish what I started. I like the game, and I want to see where it goes. I'm enjoying it. I like Trevor a lot more than I should. I've got a lot of gameplay, so I just have to put some narrative on top of it. Oh, David said, Gerald. Yeah, it wasn't a health issue. I think he just lost interest in the game and moved on. Serena says, I watched the video on The Shining and it was awesome. I actually watched The Shining light that night, and it scared me. It was a good movie. Okay, good. I'm glad you saw it. Danny isn't here right now, Mrs. Torrance. Danny isn't here right now. And Wendy, give me the bat. Doc says we wear him out, LOL. Yeah, I think Gerald just moved on. He's playing another game now. But yeah, I like Gerald. He was the first Asian mod. I think our only Asian mod. What's that about? Miko, Papa One says, Miko, that's actually true. Most people in the industry make shoes for horses that they sell. I did it just because I don't trust anyone else to make the shoes for my horses. Horses paid the bills, but I have the most respect and love for them. Odog says, no, not Miko. Yes, it was Gerald. And Serena says, yes, congratulations, Doc. Doc says, one of my favorite movies. Wish I'd been there. Yeah, we talked about Dr. Sleep a little bit as well because of Rebecca Ferguson. Oh, Odog says, it wasn't Gerald. I think he's European. I can't look. You would think I would have a list on that on YouTube, but I don't, because once I remove them, their mod privileges, they just vanish into the ether. Miko's European. You can't be talking about Miko. I'm not sure who you're talking about. And the only, like, Miko is Canadian, but he's living in Greece. The only mod that I was considering was Callum from Ireland. But, he's not active enough, and it doesn't, it's like the live streams really don't work with his time, with his time zone. Papa One says, Doc, in honor of your victory, I'm going to enjoy a drink of Knob Creek bourbon. Well done, Papa One, and I would share that with you. I'll have a drink of ice water. Oh, David says Geo, but he wasn't a mod, though. Geo was a mod for a little bit, wasn't he? He was so young. I assume he moved on as well. Odoc says Serena knows who he is. And Mama One says, cheers to you, Doc. Yeah, that's another thing to celebrate. August 20. I should make a note of that. 20. Aug. Friday. Serena Doc. Serena says, talking about Giovanni. Yeah, I remember. I don't know. I assume he moved on. He was a kid. Serena says, I miss him. He always was first to comment on my videos. Oh. Yeah, he must have moved on. So, Mama One says, I appreciate you doing the stream, Super Antonio. It made my birthday. Well, we're happy to do it for you. And, it was a lot of fun. Odoc says, yeah, we miss Geo. And Serena says, miss Gerald too. And other people too, yeah. But, they come and they go. But you and me, Serena, and Odog, and Doc, and David, we endure. Odog says, maybe we need to bump some old vids and bring some old viewers back. Doc says, we just loaf along. Here. I want you to stay. So I can make her stay. It's a little bit of a trick. But putting some potent canine bait on top. Just putting it right here on the desk. David says, happy you were all here. And Mama One says, hope this topic didn't upset you. It didn't really, but I just got a little emotional reading, all the victims. I didn't expect that. I didn't anticipate that. But, and Mama One says, I love you read the victims' names and showed them in the thumbnail. Yeah, you have to honor them. It's like if we're going to celebrate anything, we should celebrate them, not him. Odoc says, every single one of us mods has a major health issue except Miko and Mama. Yeah, what's that about? Irritating. Stop it. Doc says, pretty puppy. Sadie says, you're a pretty puppy, Doc. And that, my friends, is an excellent place to stop for the night. I appreciate all of you being here. Shout out to the mods, Doc and Serena, some of the earliest mods on the channel, and also David and Chrissy. Heart emoticons for both of you, Mama One and Papa One. Happy birthday to Mama One, Miko. Shout out to the Philippines. Appreciate all of you being here, friends. That was a lot of fun, and I'm glad you're here, Doc. We shall return on Wednesday. On Wednesdays, we Western. Enjoy the rest of your week, or the start of your week. Happy Sunday. On Sundays, we Sinister.